Hello everybody, it is 5 AM in the morning and it is me, Chat Chatterson, back here with a predictions episode of Chat and Smack where I'm going to give my rundown of Money in the Bank coming at you live from WWE tonight on the WWE Network, and I'm going toe to toe with @TyRoxas and @OneHowell on Twitter in a massive prediction war which is going to lead from this year's Money in the Bank right the way through WrestleMania next year to next year's Money in the Bank. And you know what? Things fell apart a little bit last time, so I'm going to up the stakes. If I win, I'm going to purchase myself a nice Prediction Wars Championship, and I'm going to defend it against Tyro and Jack next year. And if I fail, well, I will happily serve up that championship to either one of those boys. And that's a guarantee. But as I say, it's 5 AM here in the UK and I've stayed up all night just to record this for you. So let's dive on in to WWE Money in the Bank. To kick things off, I'm going to start with the matches that are predicted to be the pre-show. The first one of those, Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan versus the tag team of Jimmy and Jey Uso, the Usos. And I think I'm going to have to give the edge this time to Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. I can't see Daniel Bryan going from main event in WrestleMania to losing in the pre-show of Money in the Bank. I think we've got to keep the American Dragon looking strong in this one. The Eco Warriors to take the win in this pre-show match. Then following that up, we've got Tony Nese defending his Cruiserweight Championship against Arya Daivari. And I'm going to pick the boy with the lovely shirts, that swagger of the Rock of the Cruiserweight division about him. And also a guy who's going to bring a nice element of cheat to win, shenanigans, tomfoolery. I'm going to go for Arya Daivari in the second matchup here. And what I'm predicting is going to be the pre-show. No guarantee there, of course. Going through the results, the match lineup on Wikipedia right now. And it's not listed as a pre-show match. The Daniel Bryan Rowan versus the Usos match is. However, I'm going to take that one as a guaranteed pre-show match, sadly, just for how they usually treat these cruiserweight guys. And while this would cut Tony Nese's run off short, I think 205 Live really needs shaking up at the minute, and I think Arya Daivari is the man who's going to be able to bring that shake up to 205 Live. Next up, we've got Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. Joe defending his United States Championship against Rey Mysterio here, and we've got Dominic, obviously Rey Mysterio's son, playing into the storyline as well. You know that Samoa Joe has never thought twice about attacking people's family before, so it's going to be interesting to see how Dominic plays into this match. There's obviously a lot of rumour and speculation that Rey Mysterio is going to be handing over his moniker to his son. As we know, Dominic had trademarked Prince Mysterio very recently in the past few years, with the intention of taking up that mantle, likely from his dad. If we're going to see that under the WWE banner, I think that would be a really special way to send Rey Mysterio off into the sunset. However, for this match, I think we're going to take Rey Mysterio picking up that United States Championship over Samoa Joe, standing tall, celebrating with his son, and having a fantastic moment here on Money in the Bank. I do see Samoa Joe and Dominic having a little bit of conflict as well, and Dominic likely playing into the finish, but I'm going to suggest it's going to be a clean one here. Rey Mysterio taking the win. On the list next is Kofi Kingston defending his WWE Championship against Big O Kevin Owens, and to be honest, I'm not sure which way to call this one. I could see Kofi Kingston retaining, and I don't think his World Championship run has had its moment yet, that big defining feud. Kevin Owens could be that man. However, if that is going to happen, I don't see Kevin Owens picking up the championship here. I would think that Kofi Kingston would retain at Money in the Bank and play through to SummerSlam with whoever ends up winning that briefcase. I think it might very well end up being a SmackDown Live guy, and then leading that all the way through to SummerSlam with Kofi Kingston still on top. The Sami Zayn factor is of course present, and we don't know where he's going to get involved on this night, or if he will get involved. It's all up in the air with this one, really. Kevin Owens could easily take it and pull off a little surprise for the fans here, but I'm going to pick Kofi Kingston straight down the middle, 1, 2, 3, shoulders to the mat. Next up, we have The Miz taking on Shane McMahon. No titles on the line this time, however, it is in a steel cage match, and well, there is something on the line. pride. You know, Shane McMahon went over on the grandest stage of them all. You know, Miz and his dad took a severe beating, and Shane fluked it out. I think this time it's time for Miz to get a definitive win, avenge his dad, you know, prove a real point that he is the man around town at the minute, and not even the Authority can hold him back. I think this is a very natural Authority versus babyface storyline. Certainly not as cheesy and almost seemingly deliberate as their attempts at making Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns both that anti-Authority figure. I think The Miz is the one that's pulling it off with the most class and the most style, and I'd like to see him coming out of this feud, winning this cage match, and going forward and challenging for a title. However, I could also see this being the next step in a continuation for a build through to SummerSlam. That's making me almost want to pick Miz, especially because I've been very babyface friendly on this card so far. Oh, nah, I can't. That's a really hard one. You know what? In fact, because of that, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say that Shane McMahon takes this one. I'm sorry, Miz. As much as I want to say that you're gonna get that vengeance for your father, I'm gonna have to put my chips on the son of the owner of the company, and that's Shane McMahon. Next up on this list, we've got Becky Lynch defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against the Queen Charlotte Flair. And I don't really want to think about Charlotte picking up the title again so soon. We've seen this match go, you know, for as long as I can remember now. It feels like it's almost been 2+ years of these girls feuding. Charlotte's had so many championships under her belt already. I want to see Becky Lynch retain this one in a heck of a match. I'd give it a lot of time. These girls always put a lot of great work on together in the ring, but I can't see Becky Lynch losing this one yet. There's no reason to hotshot that title back onto Charlotte. I think that this Becky 2 belts thing is going to come to an end tonight, but it's not going to come to the 5 a.m. chat. It's not going to come to the end at the hands of Charlotte Flair. Next up, it's Roman Reigns versus Elias, and actually I can see here being the part where the heels start picking up a lot of steam. I think that Elias might actually take this one from Roman with some underhanded help from Shane potentially and his group of bad boy heels. I'm talking Drew McIntyre, I'm talking Bobby Lashley, I'm talking basically the new corporation. I just wish that they would actually pull the trigger and put those guys together and actually do something. Of course, Baron Corbin in there as well. You know, I think all of them in suits would look absolutely amazing. Lashley would still look like one of the hardest men on the planet rocking a suit. Corbin's already proven that he can wear the casual gear really well. I think that Drew would look like a real main event superstar, Triple H level heel champion in that suit. I don't know why they don't just go down the corporation route and actually, you know, brand those guys together and give them a reason for all sharing that TV time together. You know, instead of just being rent-a-heels and like thugs for hire, they should actually be under Shane McMahon's employ and actually, you know, working for him. It'd really present them in a better way and as a cohesive unit instead of them just looking like loosely affiliated heels. I don't think that does them any good or benefits them any. But as I say, I think Elias is going to take the win here with those guys' help. Obviously, the big dogs had a really successful comeback run so far, and I think it's going to take somebody to really, you know, step in front of him as a roadblock and provide a challenge, and I think Elias, Shane and those boys could really start doing that, but he needs to suffer the loss here going forward to start that redemption story. Next up, we have the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Natalya, Dana Brooke, Naomi, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Emberman, Carmella and Nikki Cross all face off for that briefcase. I'm going to personally take Bayley in this one. A hell of a lot of great names there, and I would like to plump for Ember Moon. I'd really like to see Carmella maybe do it again, but you know, I think that Bayley is the fan favourite here, just from the aspect of how little love she's been getting and how little of a push she seems to get, and I would hate to see her tarred in with whatever drama that Sasha Banks is involved in. Even if there is any drama, that's a tale that's not really been told yet. But if that's the case, I'd like to see her kept far away from it and maybe actually given a little push just to kind of give her some respect and show her some appreciation for her hard work. I think that Bayley's really deserved it. Although that's not to say that any of these women haven't. Nikki Cross would also be a really great choice, obviously, with this storyline going on with Alexa Bliss at the minute and whatever's brewing there. But personally, I'm going to put my chips on Bayley. I'd really like to see that happen. Then we are on to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Ali, Finn Balor, Andrade, Randy Orton, and the newest member of this Money in the Bank ladder match, replacing Braun Strowman. We're talking about Sami Zayn. Now in this one, there's a lot of strong competitors. I know a lot of people want to see Andrade take this one. Drew McIntyre and Ricochet are obviously front runners. There's a lot of speculation on the dark horse Sami Zayn coming into this one. Personally, I could back any of these horses pretty much and feel almost comfortable that there was a good shot that they could win it. A lot of people don't seem to be giving Randy Orton his due, and I think that's a really big underestimation. I think that SummerSlam, Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton, playing on a lot of their history and what happened with Orton and Kingston back in the day, would be the perfect matchup. A really big fight feel with that one. And I would like to see Randy Orton pick up this win. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's not going to be the conventional opinion, but I'm going to back Randy Orton in this one. And I would like to see him come out of it and declare his cash in on Kingston far before that. I wouldn't want it to be a surprise thing. I think that Randy Orton has enough of that surprise element with the RKO anyway. I would like to see him declare that he was going to cash in, almost play it respectful, but then tease Kofi with the RKO at any moment, all the way leading up to that SummerSlam matchup. I don't know. I think that if we're speculating about what's the big money match is going to be, what we're going to get out of this, and if we're sick fed up of these surprise cash-ins all the time, I think that'd be a brilliant way to do it. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me and think that I'm speaking with my heart rather than my head here, and that's okay sometimes. It's okay to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go out on a limb in this match on Randy Orton. I think that there might be some Kevin Owens involvement, maybe screwing Sami Zayn. I think maybe there could also be some Roman Reigns involvement. Obviously, we have those heels in there, Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin. So if they did get involved earlier in the night in the Elias match, Roman Reigns may also come for revenge. And then, of course, there's the Braun Strowman element as well. Is he going to come down and wreck shop because he's no longer in the match? Who knows? And that's why I'm really so excited about this one. But in the end, I think that the Viper, Randy Orton, is going to walk out on top. Next up is the Universal Championship match. We've got Seth Rollins defending his title against the phenomenal AJ Styles, and this is a really hard one to call. AJ Styles is playing that heel role going into this match, and I think that that's indicative to what we might see coming out of it. I think that this is going to be the continuation, the start of a feud, something that's definitely not going to end here. And I think that the best way for that to happen is that Seth ekes out a win just ever so slightly that makes AJ question himself, let his ego get knocked, and then forces him over that edge to go full heel and actually take out Seth Rollins. I think that the club might even get involved here in some way, but I think that definitely Seth Rollins is taking that championship home after Money in the Bank tonight. The real question is, what kind of a man will AJ Styles be at the end of the night? And will he still be the babyface that we know him, the family man, the wholesome guy who fights for pride and fights for his family, or are we going to see something darker, something more aggressive, something more akin to the TNA days with the lone wolf AJ Styles sort of gimmick? I really thought that was brilliant, and I thought Evil Ways was an amazing theme song, and if we could get something similar to that in WWE coming out of this Rollins feud, that would be the perfect scenario for me. Obviously, it's not 100% likely to happen. As I say, I'm starting to speak a little bit more with my heart here, but I'm still going to predict Seth Rollins to retain his Universal Championship. Finally, we have the Women's Championship match on the Raw brand. It is Becky Lynch defending her title against Lacey Evans, and I think this one should be another great match as well. I really hope that they do give it time. I think that we need to tell the story of Becky Lynch. She's been given some time from her last match, but she's still not 100%, and Lacey Evans continues to push her to that limit, continues to take her all the way. And then finally, of course, Becky Lynch overcomes, retains that title, but before you know it, Here comes Bayley. She feels like she has to do it. The moment is now. It's time to grab the brass ring and seize the opportunity. She runs out. She cashes in her briefcase for Becky's SmackDown Live Women's Championship and picks up the belt. I think that's going to throw the crowd into turmoil. It's going to leave the show in a shocking moment. I think that people are going to be sort of jaw-dropping, mouths agape, very much like the Undertaker losing his streak. Not to say that it's comparable, but I think that the Bayley heel turn's kind of been dismissed so often that when they finally pull the trigger on it, it might be something shocking. And I think that the potential feuds coming out of it on SmackDown with someone new on the championship, I've heard it everywhere. Becky Lynch is really needed on Raw, and I think she gives something fresh to the Raw brand. And I think that Bayley taking that SmackDown title and running with that and being given those opportunities on the SmackDown brand to do something a little more edgy, something a little more heelish, something a little different, and getting into maybe a feud with Charlotte and then a feud with Ember Moon would be the way forward for her character. So on the match itself, I'm going to predict Becky Lynch, and then I am predicting a cash-in for after that, and I think that Bayley walks out of Money in the Bank SmackDown Women's Champion. Take that to the bank, folks. Take that to the bank. Sorry, I've been ranting and rambling. I've kind of went on a little bit. I've also been talking really fast. I hope you've understood me. I'm sorry that this episode might not be edited so well, but because I've stayed up so late to do this, I'm so knackered and I'm just rambling away. But next up is my Q&As. I'm going to run down some of the questions that you guys have asked me on Twitter and give you some of my answers. Let's get to it. What's this? It's a jingle for the Q&A, mate. Okay, the first question is from Ryan Souter, at Ryan Souter1. And he asks, what do you think of the whole Lio Rush thing? Is it an Enzo style big timing, or does he have a point? Well, I think that it's Enzo style big timing. I don't really think he has much of a point. There's been plenty of talents who haven't been of his race, but have definitely been at his level and had his arrogance and have been put through the paces like that before. I've even seen it down at the local level. Guys are still expected to treat their peers and the ring with respect. You have to set up the ring. These traditions are to show that you're loyal and trustworthy, and you know, when you've got to live on the road with these people, share cars, travel the world, you need to know that they fit in with your system, that they respect you, that they would have your back and complain to the traditions that keep you safe. From what I hear, Leo's been flying his wife to shows. He's been flying first class, been showing up with lots of bling, you know, kind of not being really humble around his peers. And for being a relatively new member of the roster and still being offered a hell of a deal, even, you know, former world champions weren't offered the amount of money that Lio Rush was offered, to still turn it down just because he was being hazed by people who don't hate him, who had no malice towards him, but instead were testing him to see, you know, if he fit in the locker room and if he had the respect and the love for the business that these guys have had to get to where they are. They've all done it. They've all walked that path, and if Lio Rush can't walk that path, then he's got no right in being in the WWE. Oh, how much is that doggy in the window? $9.99, brother. You also followed that question up with I've just thought of another question. With people going mad about WWE going to BT Sport, do you think it's a move to get rid of Sky exclusively airing Raw and SmackDown and to show them on the network in the UK? That is a possibility. We never know what the real inner workings of some of these moves are and why some of these shuffles are made. You know, the corporate world is so cluttered and there's lots of ideas coming from lots of places and a lot of people nodding their heads for nodding their heads' sake. What I will say is this, is that getting Raw and SmackDown eventually both on the network might actually be a really good move for the WWE to entice people to finally spend that money. Everybody who's a WWE fan knows where to go to get it, can go there, pay that money, and the WWE reaps all the rewards from that. I don't know if losing the money from television rights and replacing them with subscribers would be beneficial. That's something that I'm not sure. I really don't think so. But then when you potentially sell shows like Main Event and Superstars as main shows, and you actually treat them as trailers almost, that you can then sell to the television companies to attract viewers to your network, well, that's something that might also be possible as well. As I say though, I'm not 100% clued in on how that works. But I think that BT Sport's a really good move anyway. BT Sport's growing. It's available on a lot more systems. You can get it through Now TV and a lot of these other things. And a lot of people are buying into it for the Champions League coverage as well, football being very popular here in the UK. So the move to BT Sport, I think, will be more beneficial than Sky anyway. I know a lot of people who constantly complain that they only pay for Sky for the WWE. So now those people can cut their subscription and go somewhere else. And I don't see why that should be seen as a problem. Next up, the Highlander, the man himself, the originator of Scottish strong style, Calder McCall, at Calder_McCall, no slash, at Calder_McCall, that's MCCOLL. He says 2 questions. Be Nostradamus and tell us where the wrestling landscape will be in 1 year. And secondly, how many can there be? Well, firstly, it's hard to go into exactly where I think the wrestling world is going to be. I think AEW will probably be sitting in the position of number 3 wrestling company. Definitely above Ring of Honor and the likes, but only just where rational people can expect them to be. I think once the network sees that it's not hitting the numbers and this continued sort of animosity backstage, which, well, I'm just assuming between Pac and Adam Page, especially with promises that seem to maybe not be being delivered, I think that they'll fall into that natural slot. I can see Impact getting a boost. More eyes will be on wrestling, and I think that they've been providing a real stable product recently, something that people can buy into. And if the rumours of them finding a better network are true, I think that a lot of the attention that AEW should be getting will slip away to Impact Wrestling and potentially back to New Japan. And then obviously I see WWE being the number 1 as always, but still probably very much in this repeat pattern. I can't see them ever getting out of it. I mean, a lot of people have given them the advice that they need to hear. It's been dismissed because those people's opinions aren't valued. So it's just going to be the continuation of the yes men and the shareholders pointing at fixes that aren't really problems, and it's just going to be this cycle of throwing shit at a wall that has been for God knows how long now. But the one thing I can guarantee is that in my future world, Calder McCall is wrestling weekly on television. And you know why? Because there can only be one. Alright. So, next up we have Craig Graham, at Craig Graham AF. What do you believe to be the best straight standard one-on-one match you have ever seen? By standard, I mean a match that has no particularly memorable moments in it, but was nonetheless unpredictable and still an absolute joy to watch. That's a really good one. I think that maybe Lance Storm versus Chris Jericho from the opening of One Night Stand 2005 might count for this one. I think that was a really, really good standard match. There was no big moment in it, nothing huge. There was no big stipulation or storyline angle leading into it. It was a match that just was. It was like a slice of history playing out live in 2005 from 10 years prior. Well, yeah, about 10 years prior. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, I think that was a great match. I also seen an amazing match between, or maybe it wasn't amazing, but for the standard that you would expect, Orlando Jordan versus Sean O'Haire. I don't know what it was from, but those guys really put on a match that enjoyed me for what it should have been, and I think it was on just some random Velocity somewhere. But yeah, I was really impressed by the work that those two guys put in, and it just goes to show that there is those matches. I think there was a Paul London versus Akio match, or was it Akio? On one of those Sunday night shows as well, one of those B shows, well, not even really B shows, C shows, but yeah, I would definitely say that those matches were well worth a watch and wouldn't be considered super special. But yeah, that'd be my answer there, and those are some matches that you guys, if you're interested, should definitely check out. I know I've not really been very specific on them other than the Lance Storm Chris Jericho match, but I'm sure if you YouTube the guys' names, you'll get what you're looking for there. And the last 2 questions are from my rivals in the prediction wars, starting with Money in the Bank. And I just want to clarify in that opening, it's not if I win this pay-per-view, of course, it's if I win this pay-per-view war. It's an incentive for me to make sure that I'm here every single pay-per-view, kicking these 2 jabronis' asses all the way from here to Timbuktu. and one of those jackasses' names is Jack Howell, at one Howell only. Thoughts on Bray Wyatt gimmick so far and where you want it to go? I actually love the Bray Wyatt gimmick so far. The Firefly Funhouse stuff has been absolutely brilliant. A stroke of genius from Bray, and I think this mask is something evil, dark and sinister that we've not seen in the WWE for a long time. As silly as it may sound, I want to see heel doink, but like murderous heel doink, to the point where he's so lovely and so charming that when he sticks, and he's like, instead of it being a squirting flower, he sticks a knife in your back, or the squirting flower's got acid in it, or, you know, like it's a jack in the box, and instead of a boxing glove, instead of a jack, it's, I don't know, a taser. That's the kind of messed up stuff I want to see. I want it to kind of still also take place in the Firefly Funhouse in a way. I'd like to see it almost, the promo play out normal but shift and warp in between realities, where you almost see this one's like reality Bray and one's like Hellraiser Bray, and then almost this dichotomy between the two, like the struggle between his good side and his evil side almost, and then trying to figure out what the kind of reality is as well. I'd like to see him cut promos as like Mr. Rogers Bray as well, you know, and I'd also like to see him cut promos sometimes as the evil masked Bray, and it almost be a battle within himself to which one's the real one and which one's the one that's in his head. I think that's really the question that the fans should be left asking in this one, is Bray Wyatt this evil twisted guy who has created this character to trick and to lure, or is he this really nice guy who has been twisted and broken and possessed to this point of no return, of evil, of insanity, this yowie zowie mentalness? And that's all you can really describe of it, but it's captivating, it's fun to watch, and it really could be the saviour of Bray's career. I'm really excited for it going forward, buddy. Then next up it is the leader of the Tyrone Nation himself, at Tyroxis, and he asks us thoughts on Baron Corbin. And you know what, this is a really good way to round things out here, because I want to make a statement on Baron Corbin. I think that guy gets so much more hate than he actually deserves. I think he's played his role to a T. I think he knows fan interaction really well, knows how to play to a crowd, knows how to draw heat. People say that people genuinely dislike him, but I think that's a really, really good sign of good healing, because I don't think anybody can say that they personally dislike the man. I think they can really say that they dislike the character, and I think it's an absolute stroke of genius. It's maybe not so much of a stroke of genius than pushing him down people's throats so much, but he has earned his spot as he has earned his spot as a regular featured character, and I can't take that away from the guy. He's been taken whatever ball he's been given and ran with it and gave it 100% every single time, and that's why I'll have nothing but respect for the Lone Wolf. Is he played out? Does he deserve a Money in the Bank briefcase again? Is he main event guy? I don't know yet. I know that I like his offense, I know that I like his healing, I know that I like how hateable he is, and so I can only give Baron Corbin props. I hope that says it all. People can hate me if they want, but I've only got all love. And if you want to share the love with me, people, follow me on Twitter at ChatChatterson, donate paypal.me/ChatChatterson, like, subscribe, and of course do all that other good stuff, and never stop being kind to each other. Thank you for excusing this all over the place weird talky thing this time, but I got no peace last night, and so I have had to stay up until God knows what time in the morning to record for you. But you are worth it. Peace out, guys. Hit that music.